into Gabby Williams, got hit in the forehead, and it caused 2 black eyes. And you can still see some of the remnants of them, and now she's sporting the bloody lip. She is as tough as they come.
Look,
Despite having a cracked lip and 2 black eyes when she entered the game against the Chicago Sky, Lexie Hull managed to provide one of her most difficult performances to yet. However, what she disclosed following the game is what has all of the fans talking at the moment. You can see why Indiana isn't just squeezing into these playoffs by looking at their domination over Chicago in spite of hardship. In front of us, they are rewriting who they are. Do you consider that impressive? Hold on till you hear Lexie Hull's further remarks. It could end up serving as the catchphrase for the Fever's postseason run. If you're excited with the victory, leave a comment for the Fever. Come on!
Bow, bow, bow! That's a W.
Made it out. All we gotta do is keep making it out.
Woo! Dubs!
When half of your lineup is glued together and your best player is out, how do you win? When Caitlin Clark declared that her season was ended, that was the question that hung over Indiana. I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season, she said when she went public a few days before the regular season ended. Since mid-July, Clark has been battling a persistent groin injury that has never healed the way she or the club had hoped. Fans clung to the hope that she would return for weeks. The hope was dashed when the news was released, and Indiana's entire playoff run had to be spontaneously rewritten.
Caitlin Clark released a statement saying this: "I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continue to show up for me and for the Fever brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot in the playoffs."
Clark wasn't the only one. All year long, the illness has been referred to be snakebite, and the injury list has only served to confirm this. For the season, Sophie Cunningham was absent. Sydney Colson suffered an ACL tear. Due to Chloe BBY's personal knee problems and Ari McDonald's absence due to a fractured foot, her name was unable to be removed from the injury report. That is the loss of a complete rotation. Imagine your franchise player, enforcer, backup point guard, key forward, and veteran all missing at the same time as you get ready for the latter stretch of the regular season. Every game, the coaching staff had to play musical chairs with lineups rather of fostering camaraderie.
At the end of the day, she's been working her butt off to be able to get back, and we've kind of run out of time to be able to do it in a safe way, in a safe manner. And I think we've all been very open and upfront with her long-term health and wellness is the most important thing. To be in a position that you need to be in to play at this time of the year, we just ran out of time to get her there.
Stephanie White, the head coach, didn't conceal her annoyance. She freely said, "It's annoying that there are so many ailments that she's had," referring to this summer's clashes with Clark. According to White, the groin problem just ran out of time. She stated, "We ran out of time to be able to do it in a safe way, in a safe manner," emphasizing that Clark's long-term health came before the possibility of a hasty return. That was reiterated by General Manager Amber Cox, who reminded everyone that maintaining Clark's career, rather than winning any games in the final stretch, had to be the main priority. Indiana's depth chart was completely destroyed by that choice. You take away the playmaking of Clarkson and McDonald, the toughness of Cunningham, the veteran minutes of Colson, and BB's range, all of a sudden you have a roster that is impenetrable. Every item felt more burdensome. All of the substitutions were enlarged. Clark, however, never appeared to be a player who had been cut for the season while on the sidelines. She applauded each basket. She got up to deliver high fives after getting off the bench. The TV cameras spotted her even when she was seated. Sharp eyes, a voice that cuts through the crowd, and complete engagement. Even if her sneakers are never on the ground, her leadership was nonetheless electrifying for Indiana supporters.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, number one, just all the injuries that she's had. Obviously, I wouldn't speak for her, but and the amount of work that she's put in to position herself to be able to play and then to, you know, have to ultimately make this decision. There's disappointment. There's the obvious frustration that's come with not being healthy really for an entire season. But ultimately, you know, I think the big picture is the most important thing, and those are conversations that we've continued to have. You know, and the message has continued to be that you know, it's not her long-term health and wellness and her being 100% when she's ready to go is the most important thing.
Due to the harsh playoff picture, that presence was significant. The Fever held onto 8th position going into the week, just ahead of the Los Angeles Sparks. They ran the risk of falling out completely if they made one mistake. Adaptability emerged as a central concept. Will this roster shortage last long enough to guarantee another postseason berth? Would they be able to make up for their lost superstar without becoming less self-assured? It seemed more like a battle of will than a basketball issue. The build-up to the Chicago game turned into a pressure cooker of its own because of the lingering uncertainty. There was nothing glamorous about it. Toughness, execution, and situational responsiveness were key components. Additionally, Indiana used that crucible as a springboard, the exact catalyst for their violent reaction to the Chicago sky.
If a newcomer in Bree Hall plays tonight, lost it on a kick out. Mitchell, oh, she's hot to start. Mitchell finds Dantas, who rolls and lays it in.
When you look more closely, what does 97-7 mean? It is far more significant than a box score. It appears to be a typical 20-point victory on paper. However, if you pay attention to what has been going on between these two teams, you will see that the tale is far more extensive. Chicago wasn't the only team defeated by Indiana. This season, they have swept them 5 times in a row, winning by an average of 24 points per contest. For Chicago, that is total control that verges on humiliation. Additionally, it's one of the few occasions when a matchup reveals the true distance between two franchises at the moment. A squad with that much domination should be sailing through the standings with ease, right? Not in Indiana. The Fever were just 1 game ahead of the Los Angeles Sparks in 8th place, on the verge of the playoff bracket going into this game. That was the extent of its fragility. With the pressure increasing every game, they would enter perilous territory with only 1 loss in this position. Rather, they reversed the course of events, utilizing all of that uncertainty to drive their most dominant performance just when they needed it.
Mitchell, will she add to it? Whips it back for Dantas. Kelsey Mitchell putting on a show here in Indy.
Look at the spin on the ball. Just one dribble over the head pad.
Mitchell's been brilliant on a kick out to Howard. Mitchell bouncing. Howard, the left hand.
And then getting a stop on the defensive end. I know Coach Stephanie White is happy with her team with that.
Mitchell being hounded by Atkins, trying to shake her. Mitchell bounces inside, and Howard gets the roll.
Kelsey Mitchell led the charge like she has all year. She put up 20 points and handed out 8 assists, directing the offense with confidence but also proving she could balance scoring with playmaking. This wasn't her just chasing shots, it was her setting the table while still getting buckets whenever the team needed them.
Here in the first half. Oh, it's Howard finding Sims, who finishes tight quarters. Howard backing in on Williams. Little shake and bake. And the fadeaway.
As she has done all year, Kelsey Mitchell took the lead. She confidently led the attack with 20 points and 8 assists, demonstrating her ability to strike a balance between playmaking and scoring. She wasn't merely chasing shots here. She was the one who arranged the table and continued to get buckets when the group needed them.
7 of them came in the second quarter. Indiana's just been able to hold Chicago at an arm's length here tonight. And Natasha Howard putting together one of her best games of the season.
Missing that little bunny, just the possession before, comes up through the contact, goes straight to her chest. Not a...
Sims finds some space and can't get the roll. Howard charging, tips it, comes down with it, and flips it home.
Natasha Howard, who finished with 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 steals, was just behind her. She distributed the floor between them. A disruptive defense that stymies the opposition's momentum, combined with an inside scoring presence.
She is the team's leading scorer with Angel Reese not available. Hull lob it inside. Boston spins and finishes. So far in the second half, it's been one step forward, one step back for the Sky. Boston turns the corner on Cardoso, banks it home, and a foul.
It didn't end there either. 3 further players for Indiana scored in double figures, demonstrating the attack's true balance. Odyssey Sims provided them with another dependable backcourt option to switch up and fast-hitting guard play. Aaliyah. As reliable as ever, Boston made a low-key contribution and appeared at ease taking charge without Clark attracting attention to himself.
Good hands there by Williams. Petty powers through traffic and is able to finish. Howard's going behind the back on Bannon, muscles her way to the rim, draws the foul, and flips it home, and one Powers.
In order to keep the Skies on their heels the entire time, even Aerial Powers contributed solid minutes with vigor and goals. This depth demonstrated why this wasn't a haphazard blowout at a time when injuries were already reducing the team.
I love watching these players.
Here's Michaela Timpson checking in for her first minutes and banking it home.
The actual tale is revealed by the statistic. Compared to just 9 turnovers, 27 assists. That is the epitome of efficiency, particularly in light of the fact that the Fever have had to switch up their lineups for practically every game. Players, don't go out looking for shots. They are punishing defenses that are caught out of position, moving the ball, and having faith in one another. Chicago was unable to reply. Indiana often put the Sky away long before the final buzzer by stretching. Possession after possession into high percentage looks. Why was all of this more significant than merely increasing the number of wins? Because there was more to this victory than just a sense of relief. It allowed the Fever to take charge of their own playoff fate. Chicago was out of the way thanks to the sweep. Indiana had all but guaranteed their spot in the playoffs. And the door to 6th place was abruptly open after results from Golden State and Seattle were announced. It's not a coincidence. Momentum is that.
Powers bouncing. Hull. Oh, had it denied at the rim. Oh, looked home free, and I think...
Yes, Indiana prevailed by a score of 20. However, when you take a step back and look at the playoff positioning, the sweep, and the level of equilibrium, it signifies much more. The Fever demonstrated that their identity isn't based on a single player by not only defeating the Sky, but also tearing them apart in every category. It is based on the team's overall performance and resiliency, and one act that stood out above the others was at the heart of this new identity. Even though Lexie Hull didn't lead in points, her bloodied and bruised Warrior performance was the buzz of the town. Which is more difficult? Playing with a bleeding lip and 2 black eyes, or delivering the comment from the postgame that had Fever supporters glued to her words as if they were gospel? Lexie Hull took center stage at that point, in a game where toughness was already a theme. She still had the scars from a traumatic collision with Gabby Williams from a week prior when she went into the night. The bruises that clouded both eyes each conveyed a different tale. She did not conceal them. Despite her wounded face, she was prepared to record minutes. As if that weren't enough, in the second half, Camila Cardoso cut her lip after catching her across the mouth. However, Hall wasn't going to leave that game, so blood and bruises wouldn't stop her.
But Sky, they just got to get into their sets a little bit quicker.
Here's Hull off the Boston screen. She hits, and Indiana is...
I love the way that she's been able to elevate her game.
The youngsters out of South Carolina, who both are having strong seasons, as Indiana has opened up 3 for 3 with Lexie Hull.
She revealed more about herself through her resistance to sit down than any stat sheet could. You don't win without toughness when the roster is reduced by injury after injury, when Caitlin Clark is dressed in shabby clothes, and when Sophie Cunningham, Chloe Beebe, and Ari McDonald are unable to even warm up. Paul embodied that teaching. She didn't appeal for pity. She put her sneakers back on and gave them the kind of minutes that perfectly capture the essence of this team from Indiana. Don't back down, play injured, and punch back.
3 points here tonight at 14 minutes off the bench. Turner gets inside, kick out. Hull, who buries a 3.
The crazy part is that this is taking place amid the height of her career. She doesn't merely take up room everywhere as a role player. Assists, steals, rebounds, and points. Her career is reaching new heights. By making more than 53 pointers, this year, she has already surpassed her own personal best from beyond the arc. That's growth, not chance. Everyone looks forward to a young player's breakthrough season. Additionally, it occurs just when the team needs someone who can carry more than simply numbers.
Steph mentioned, whenever she sees you with the 2 black eyes, she smiles in a way because it just exemplifies your toughness. Do you feel tough in these kinds of situations with these 2 black eyes?
I mean, that's what people keep telling me. Every time she sees me, she smiles and then she says, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "You don't need to be sorry. This is what it is." And when I'm playing, like, I forget about it, and then I go and look at the mirror. I'm like, "Oh shit, he's still there." So yeah, I don't really think too much about it because I don't necessarily feel them all the time.
Yeah, and you're still able to see completely fine?
Yep.
Right.
Nothing's changed.
All right, perfect.
Her coach and teammates also notice it. Stephanie White stated unequivocally that Hull is the epitome of what the Fever aspire to achieve. Courageous and resilient. Getting that kind of endorsement is no small feat. When you play through pain, you earn it. Make an effort to play defensively and don't let a game slide. Anyone on that roster will tell you that Hull sets the tone. It's not just one night either. The defense has held together game after game thanks to her constant work. Yes, her defense is the glue, even though her shooting has improved. In order to disrupt rhythm and slow down their flow, Indiana's thin squad needed someone to harass Chicago's guards on the perimeter. That's what Hull did. Every trip was contested by her, and she took elbows and body shots while absorbing them without retreating. It is evident why the Fever's defensive stats increase when she's on the court. She communicates, annoys scorekeepers, and doesn't take plays off.
The resilient, nature of our team. I think one other thing that sometimes goes missed is just the character of these women, right? Especially this group that's been here, that's gone through all of this, and then the ones that we've brought in with O and Che and AP. I mean, these are women who care about winning. These are women who care about one another. These are women who sacrifice every single day.
The moment that brought everything together then arrived. Reporters questioned Hull about the black eyes following the victory. Through her injuries, she grinned and continued. Every day they embody the warrior spirit of the team by fighting for their injured teammates. It was how she expressed this. Whether healthy or not, we play for one another, and we accept our setbacks as evidence of that struggle. She became the living embodiment of Indiana basketball's current state at that one instant. Hull is doing more than just having her finest year. She is telling the tale of this team's self-redefining journey. Furthermore, the contrast could not be more stark. While Indiana established a resilient culture, its rival was publicly dissolving.
By my rough count, the Fever have beaten the Sky by 12,000 points in their 5 games this season. I'm not perfectly sure on that number, but it seems correct, as they smack the Chicago Sky yet again. Basically, they've already been in a good playoff position, but cement a hold on a playoff spot.
What does it mean when a team may still decide its own playoff fate even if 5 players are missing? Indiana responded to the query in opposition to Chicago. The figures are also clear-cut. The Fever were 1 game ahead of Los Angeles in 9th position prior to tip-off. Following this decisive victory and the Sparks' defeat over Atlanta, Indiana surged into 7th place and firmly maintained their position. At the bottom of the bracket, survival is suddenly not the main concern. It's about moving up, possibly even to 6th if things continue to go as planned.
Kelsey Mitchell, brilliant once again. Lexie Hull playing through a busted lip after she's played through black eyes, which came from the knot on her forehead, which, you know, is sort of exemplifies the Fever season, the way they fought through things. You got all players on crutches and carts before the game. Caitlin Clark, unfortunately, ruled out for the season. It makes you think what could have been, but what is a smacking for the Sky whenever they face them, and a playoff spot almost assured for the Indiana Fever.
It is impossible to exaggerate the importance. However, pride wasn't the only reason behind the sweep of Chicago. The biggest point difference between two teams in league history is currently that 5-game season dominance. It was about paving the way for the future. The Fever's postseason berth is assured for the 2nd consecutive year with this victory. Consider that. Despite not having Caitlin Clark at the forefront, a team that was buried at the bottom for almost 10 years is suddenly looking forward to consecutive postseason appearances. Other teams' mistakes have also created opportunities. Golden State had a difficult schedule in the last stretch, and Seattle lost games they really needed. Although Indiana didn't have to wait for assistance, they are undoubtedly accepting it. When the margins are small, every break matters. Or this thin.
Get the brooms out! Get the brooms out. I got my dustpan handy. We sweeping up the Chicago Sky. They are toast. They are done. We gonna hold on to our broom for this entire blog. Listen, the Indiana Fever just absolutely smoked the Chicago Sky. What a win. What a win.
With their 97-77 victory, Indiana accomplished more than simply secure their postseason spot. They changed the values that this team upholds. One star wasn't supposed to bear the burden in this situation. It was about depth, toughness, and a roster that held together in spite of losing 5 players. The team's identity was centered on resilience as they defeated Chicago by an average of 24 points. To be honest, it's even more delightful knowing that Angel Reed was suspended after receiving her 7th technical foul and wasn't available. If Indiana can maintain its dominance while being patched up and continue to make fun of Chicago's mayhem, imagine what will happen when Caitlin Clark returns to a foundation that has already been established for success. If you're excited about the victory, leave a comment, turn on all notifications, like, and subscribe to ensure you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next video. Click the video on the screen.